were amazing scenes, weren't they, Tim, when all of Drysdale just turned out to celebrate what was a really historic moment in that club's history. You could have, I tell you what, if you wanted to steal a few things, you could have gone down to Drysdale on Saturday and robbed a few places, because everyone was there. Everyone was there to celebrate the 18-point victory of Drysdale over Geelong Amateur in the BFL Grand Final, and a really remarkable turnout, wasn't it? Both in terms of the spectators there, but a turnout in football sense that Geelong Amateur, the team that beat all year, stumbled at the final hurdle.
Yeah, it certainly was, and I think anyone who was going down there really didn't give Drysdale a chance, but most importantly, the Hawks gave themselves a chance, and internally they knew that they could win the game, and at three-quarter time there were still a few of their supporters that I was sitting near that were just a little bit up in the air. They led by 41 points, but Geelong Amateur were coming home with a breeze and were kicking to the end that everyone had scored with through the day. But as they started to come, Geelong Amateur, I think Tim Clark kicked 2 goals in a row there, and everyone thought, here we go, the juggernaut's going to run over the top of Drysdale. And there was still about 15 minutes to go in the game, 13 points in it, and then the crucial moment that probably defines the turning, or not only the turning point of the grand final, but really the turning point and what everyone's going to look back as is the defining moment of the 2009 BFL season, when the Les Ash medalist Lindsay Smith was sent from the ground for head-high contact with Brett Dowie after he'd actually taken a mark with the ball. I think everyone, and Travis Robertson, the Ammo's coach, was right in saying that yes, it was a 50-metre penalty, but the umpire was extremely harsh on Lindsay Smith to send him off for it, and it defined the whole nature of the game and gave Drysdale the points. They kicked the next 2 goals after that, and the defining image for me ended up being 17-year-old Tom Ruggles, who was 7 years from being born when Drysdale last won their premiership in 1985, actually sticking his arms in the air after kicking the sealing goal. So as you say, a fantastic story for Drysdale, and it looked like the whole town had turned up to watch them, because about 4,000 people, or some ridiculous number like that, stormed the ground after the game, and it was just fantastic scenes for Drysdale, and yeah, well done to the Hawks.
Now, Luke Maher retired after the game. Very fairy tale ending. It almost looked like it may not have been a couple of weeks ago when he fronted the tribunal, and his career may have ended on a note of suspension, but for him to finish his career with a premiership is a really fitting reward.
Yeah, fantastic story. I think he's been involved in footy in Geelong for about 26 years, played with Lara and might have won a premiership there in the GFL as well, so it's one of the many good stories to come out of it for Drysdale. Wade Chapman set a 3-year plan in place, and he's done everything right in his 3rd year as coach. That's another good story to come out there, that he's won the premiership, and there's plenty of guys like the Tom Ruggles story, guys that weren't even born. Daniel Jell's another one that was involved. He's only 19 years old, so 5 years from being born when he last played in it. And then Greg Scott, the current president, in his 1st year as president, got to hand over the reins. He was the last premiership captain down at Drysdale as well back in 1985, and he handed that over to Brent Taylor, and his sons Mitch and Simon also involved. So plenty of little stories that you can take out there, but Luke Maher was definitely one. He'll look back fondly on the end of his career, kicking 5 goals, and I still think Ammo should have played Josh Friend to play on him. Nick Sutcliffe was a bit undersized all day, but well done to Murray and the Hawks again.
Speaking of Geelong Amateur, we can't touch on the game without mentioning that their season now pretty much has ended in gross underachievement, you'd have to say. They're going to probably look back and say this is a really big missed opportunity, because throughout the course of the year they were the team that everyone was chasing, and probably the team that everyone thought should win the game quite easily.
And I think they'll start 2010 as the team to beat again, Nick. It's just one day that really killed them. They started terribly in that first quarter. It looked like a few of their players had turned up not really wanting to play. It's amazing to think that in the grand final, but Drysdale started and probably could have wrapped up the game almost in the first quarter. I think they kicked 2 goals, 10 Drysdale kicking with the breeze, and they could have been about 7 or 8 goals up and have almost shut the game at quarter time. And Amos will look back on that lethargic start and say it probably cost them in the end, because from there Drysdale took a lot of momentum on with the game, and as you say, it's going to be a season now shrouded in underachievement for Geelong Amateur. Yes, they won the minor premiership. Yes, they did everything right and got through to a grand final without having to do the preliminary final like they did last year, but they don't come away with the chocolates at the end of the season, and that's always the most important thing.
Well, it is. And speaking of grand finals, while we're talking about it here, we must also mention the Geelong District Grand Final. East Geelong getting over the top there at Bellpost Hill. Well, they were on top all day, weren't they, Tim? And then Bellpost Hill did come home at the end, but a very good win for East Geelong, and thoroughly deserved for a very good season they had.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think the first time the Eagles have won one in a long time as well. Same sort of story as Drysdale. So well done to the East Geelong Footy Club on that. A really, really tenacious grand final. I think there was 9 reports that came out of it. We've still got to see Nathan Lewis is going to front the tribunal next week as well on a spitting charge. Look, it's fair to say I think he's going to retire. He's actually come out and said that he's going to retire, but if he does get suspended, it's going to be a VCFL suspension that rules him out from coaching as well, and I'm pretty sure he wants to stay out here at Bellpost Hill and coach. So it'll be an unfortunate story if Nathan Lewis does get rubbed out, but then we can't really say too much because he will go to the tribunal next week. So we'll wait and see on that one. A fiery grand final, but as you say, East Geelong are very worthy winners winners after the season they had. I think they won about their last 17 games or some
Yeah.
ridiculous number along those lines.
And of course, our condolences to the Allsop family for the tragic loss of Nathan in the aftermath of that game. So, on that note, thank you for your company on another edition of Full Time Online. Make sure you check out the Geelong Advertiser on Monday for all the latest news and the wrap up of the 2009 GFL Grand Final between South Barwon and St Joseph's.